The alarm screamed through the colony ship like a wounded animal. Lily Carter gripped the armrests of her wheelchair as the vessel shook violently. Red emergency lights painted everything in blood-colored shadows. Around her, colonists ran in every direction, their faces twisted with fear. "Everyone to the safe rooms," her father's voice boomed over the speakers. Commander Jack Carter sounded calm, but Lily knew him too well. She heard the tremor underneath his words. The ship lurched again. Lily's wheelchair rolled backward, but she quickly steadied herself. Her fingers moved across the control pad with practiced ease. She had lived in this chair for 3 years now, ever since the nerve disease started taking her ability to walk. Her legs didn't work anymore, but everything else did just fine. A massive crash echoed from somewhere above. The walls groaned like they were in pain. Then everything went silent. The kind of silence that meant something very bad had happened. Lily wheeled herself toward the corridor, but strong hands grabbed her chair from behind. "No, you don't, kiddo," said Commander Pete Hayes, her father's second-in-command. His weathered face tried to smile, but his eyes were scared. "Your dad would kill me if I let you go out there." "What's happening?" Lily asked, though she already knew. She had been studying the star charts that morning. They were in Zenthari territory. Everyone knew about the Zenthari. Pete opened his mouth to answer, but the ship's hull suddenly tore open like paper. Metal screamed as sunlight poured through the gap. Tall figures climbed through the breach, their reptilian bodies covered in dark armor. The Zenthari had arrived. They were terrifying to look at. Each one stood nearly 8 feet tall, with scales that gleamed like polished stone. Their eyes were yellow with vertical pupils, and their mouths were full of sharp teeth. They moved like predators, quick and sure of themselves. "Humans," one of them hissed, the translator device on his armor turning his words into English. "Surrender or die. We do not care which." The colonists had no weapons. They were scientists, farmers, teachers. They had left Earth to build a new life, not to fight wars. One by one, they raised their hands. The Zenthari warriors herded everyone into the main cargo bay. Lily counted 43 colonists, including herself. That was everyone who had been aboard. Her father stood at the front, his jaw tight with controlled anger. When he saw Lily, something broke in his eyes, but he said nothing. A Zenthari who wore more decorations than the others stepped forward. He was massive even for his kind, with scars covering his snout and arms. "I am High Commander Vexthor," he announced. "Your ship wandered into Zenthari space. Foolish. Now you belong to the Empire." Jack Carter stepped forward. "We're peaceful explorers. We meant no harm. Please, let us go and we'll leave your territory." Vexthor laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. "Peaceful? Weak, you mean?" His yellow eyes scanned the crowd and stopped on Lily. He walked toward her, his clawed feet clicking on the metal floor. "What is this?" he asked, pointing at her wheelchair. "A broken human?" Lily felt everyone's eyes on her. She lifted her chin and met the alien's gaze. "I'm not broken. I just can't walk." "Cannot walk?" Vexthor seemed amused. "The Zenthari cull such weakness from our people at birth. Strength is all that matters. Physical power, you have none." Jack Carter moved between them. "She has more courage than you'll ever understand. Leave her alone." The High Commander's hand shot out faster than Lily could see. He grabbed her father by the throat and lifted him off the ground. "You do not give orders here, human. I do." Several colonists shouted, but the Zenthari warriors raised their weapons. Vexthor dropped Jack, who fell to his knees, gasping. "Your species is pathetic," Vexthor continued. "You coddle the weak. You value things other than strength. This makes you inferior." He looked down at Lily again, and something cruel entered his expression. Perhaps a demonstration is needed. Two warriors grabbed Lily's wheelchair. She tried to activate the locks, but they simply lifted the entire chair with her in it. "Dad," she called out. "No, let her go!" Jack lunged forward, but three Zenthari slammed him to the ground. Other colonists tried to help, but weapons fired warning shots over their heads. Everyone froze. "There is a tradition among my people," Vexthor said, his voice carrying across the bay. "When we find weakness, we test it against strength. We have a creature aboard this ship. It has killed hundreds of our finest warriors in the arena. We use it to prove our worth." Lily's stomach turned cold. She knew where this was going. "We will throw this broken human to the serpent," Vexthor announced. "It will show you the price of weakness. It will show you that the Zenthari way is the only way that matters in this galaxy." "She's just a child," Betty Walsh, the security chief, screamed. "You monsters! She's 13 years old." "Then she will die young," Vexthor replied, "as all weak things should." They carried Lily through the corridors of the Zenthari ship. She tried to memorize the route, tried to look for escape options, but her mind kept going blank with fear. Behind her, she could hear her father shouting, struggling. She heard the sound of a weapon striking flesh, and his voice went quiet. The pit of Krathmar was exactly what it sounded like. A massive circular arena carved into the center of the ship, with walls that dropped hundreds of feet into darkness. Zenthari warriors lined the upper levels, watching with their cold reptilian eyes. In the center was a platform connected to a mechanical lowering system. They placed Lily's wheelchair on the platform. The straps locked automatically around the wheels, holding it in place. She looked up and saw the colonists being forced to watch from a viewing area. Her father's face was bruised, blood running from his nose, but his eyes found hers. "I love you, Lily," he mouthed. She wanted to be brave for him. She wanted to show these aliens that humans were strong in ways they couldn't understand. But she was 13, and she was scared. "Begin," Vexthor commanded. The platform dropped into the darkness. Lily's wheelchair descended into the pit, the light from above growing smaller and smaller. She heard breathing down there in the dark. Something huge, something that had killed hundreds. The platform stopped with a jerk. Emergency lights flickered on, casting green shadows across the pit floor. And then she saw it. The void serpent emerged from the shadows, and Lily's breath caught in her throat. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Easily 60 feet long, with scales black as space itself. Its eyes glowed amber in the dim light. Wings folded against its sides, each one large enough to cover a house. When it moved, muscles rippled under its armored hide. Above, the Zenthari began to chant. They wanted blood. They wanted proof of their superiority. But Lily wasn't looking at them anymore. She was looking at the dragon, and the dragon was looking back at her. In those glowing eyes, she didn't see mindless rage. She saw something else entirely. She saw intelligence and pain, and something that looked almost like hope. The void serpent moved closer, and the ground trembled with each step. Above them, the Zenthari warriors cheered louder, hungry for violence. Lily could hear her father screaming her name, but the sound seemed far away, like it was coming from another world. The dragon's massive head lowered toward her wheelchair. Its breath was hot and smelled like sulfur and old smoke. Those amber eyes were as large as dinner plates, studying her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. Any second now, those jaws could open and end everything. But Lily found herself doing something strange. Instead of closing her eyes or crying, she was observing. It was what she always did when she encountered something new. Her brain shifted into the mode she used when studying xenobiology files. The scientific curiosity, that had made her the youngest student ever accepted into the Colonial Academy's research program. She could see it in the way it moved, a slight hitch in its gait, and there, along its neck, were scars. Not the random scars of battle, but deliberate marks. Burn marks in a pattern. Someone had hurt this creature, systematically and repeatedly. Around its throat was a thick metal collar covered in strange symbols. The collar was old, damaged in places, but still functional. Small lights blinked along its surface. Some kind of control device, Lily realized. They had been shocking it, controlling it through pain. The serpent opened its mouth, revealing teeth like swords. The crowd above roared with approval. This was it. This was the moment they had been waiting for. But instead of attacking, the dragon made a sound. It was low and rumbling, coming from deep in its chest. Not a roar, almost like a question. Lily's mind raced. She had studied Earth's extinct species for a school project last year. Social animals that used sound to communicate. Complex sounds with meaning and emotion. What if this creature was the same? She thought about her father's stories from when he served on deep space stations. He once told her about a species of space dwellers that communicated through vibrations and frequencies. Most beings want the same basic things, he had said. Safety, understanding, connection. The dragon moved its head closer, now just inches from her face. Its eyes searched hers. Lily could see herself reflected in those amber depths, small and fragile in her chair. "Hey there," she whispered. Her voice shook, but she kept talking. "You're scared too, aren't you? They hurt you. They made you fight when you didn't want to." The dragon's eye narrowed slightly. It tilted its massive head, reminding Lily of the way dogs back on Earth would react to a familiar voice. Above them, the cheering started to die down. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. The void serpent always attacked immediately. Always. Lily raised her hand slowly. It trembled in the air between them. "I won't hurt you," she said softly. "I can't hurt you, even if I wanted to. Look at me. I'm just a kid in a broken chair." The dragon's breathing changed. It was still watching her hand, that small human hand extended in offering, rather than fear. "We're both trapped here," Lily continued. "Both of us thrown into this pit by people who think strength is the only thing that matters. But you know what? I think they're wrong. I think there are other kinds of strength." She thought of all the times people had looked at her with pity after she lost the ability to walk. All the times they assumed she couldn't do things. She had proven them wrong by working twice as hard, by using her mind when her body failed her. "You could kill me right now," she said to the dragon. "That's what they want. That's what they expect. But what if we didn't give them what they want?" The serpent made that rumbling sound again, quieter this time. Its head lowered further until its snout was almost touching her outstretched hand. Lily's heart hammered in her chest. This was insane. This was the most dangerous moment of her life. But something in those eyes told her it was also the most important. She touched the dragon's snout. The scales were worn under her palm, smoother than she expected. The dragon went completely still. For a moment, nothing happened. The whole pit seemed to hold its breath. Then the dragon closed its eyes and leaned into her touch. The Zenthari above erupted in confusion. Shouts rang out in their language. Lily heard Vexthar roaring orders, but she didn't look up. All her attention was on the creature before her. Under her hand, she felt something. It moved through the dragon's body, a deep thrumming that felt almost like a purr. The creature opened its eyes again, and this time there was something different in them. Recognition. Understanding. "You're not a monster," Lily whispered. "You're a prisoner, just like us." The dragon moved slowly, carefully, and laid its massive head on the ground next to her wheelchair. It was a gesture of trust, so profound that Lily felt tears spring to her eyes. This ancient, powerful creature was choosing not to harm her. More than that, it was choosing to connect with her. She ran her hand along its snout, feeling the ridges and textures of its scales. The dragon's eyes remained half-closed, peaceful for perhaps the first time in years. Above them, the platform started to descend again. The Zenthari were going to send down warriors. They weren't going to let this continue. Vexthor was shouting something about weakness and dishonor. Its head lifted, and for a moment Lily thought she had lost the connection. But instead, the creature moved its body to position itself between her and the descending platform, protecting her. "They're coming," Lily said. "They won't let us be." The dragon looked at her, then at the platform, then back at her. In its eyes, she saw a question forming. She didn't know how she understood it, but she did. The dragon was asking if she trusted it. Lily thought about her father up there, probably losing his mind with worry. She thought about the other colonists, and what the Zenthari would do to them. She thought about this magnificent creature that had been tortured and used for entertainment. "Yes," she said, "I trust you." The dragon's mouth opened, but not in aggression. It made a different sound this time, almost musical. The vibrations moved through the pit, resonating off the walls. Lily noticed something happening to the collar around the dragon's neck. The lights were flickering faster now, erratically. The dragon was doing something to it, some kind of interference that her scientific mind didn't fully understand. The platform touched down, and 6 Zenthari warriors stepped off, with weapons raised. "Move away from the human," one of them commanded. The dragon roared. Not the questioning sound from before, but a true roar that shook the entire pit. It was a sound of defiance and rage, of years of captivity finding voice. The warriors stumbled backward. Lily saw her wheelchair's control panel flickering. The emergency systems were reacting to something, the same kind of interference that was affecting the collar. She looked at the dragon with new understanding. "You can control electromagnetic fields," she breathed. "You're technologically aware." The dragon's eye met hers, and she could have sworn it looked satisfied, like it was glad she understood. One of the warriors fired his weapon. The energy blast struck the dragon's shoulder, scorching scales. The creature roared again, this time in pain. And Lily felt anger surge through her like electricity. "Stop it!" she screamed at them. "Can't you see? This isn't a mindless beast. This is an intelligent being." But her voice was lost in the chaos. More warriors were descending. The dragon spread its wings, and even damaged and confined, it was a sight of terrible beauty. It could fight them. It could probably kill them all. But that would just prove the Zenthari right. That would make it the monster they believed it to be. Lily made a decision. She wheeled her chair right up to the dragon's front leg. "Listen to me," she said urgently. "We need to be smart, not just strong." "Can you do that?" The dragon looked down at her, and in that moment, something passed between them. An understanding deeper than words. A partnership born in the most unlikely of places. Together, they would show the Zenthari what real strength looked like. The dragon lowered its wing, creating a shield between Lily and the advancing Zenthari warriors. Energy blasts scorched the air, but the creature's scales deflected most of them. Lily's mind raced. They needed a plan, and they needed it fast. She looked around the pit, analyzing everything with the sharp focus that had always been her greatest strength. The walls were too smooth to climb, but there were service panels scattered around the perimeter. Maintenance access points. Every arena needed them for repairs and cleaning. "Can you make a distraction?" she asked the dragon, not even sure if it could understand her words. But those intelligent amber eyes focused on her, and the creature nodded. Actually nodded. The dragon reared back, and roared with such force that dust rained down from the ceiling. It thrashed its tail, smashing into the arena floor and sending chunks of metal flying. The Centauri warriors scrambled for cover, shouting into their communication devices. While all eyes were on the dragon's display of rage, Lily wheeled herself as fast as she could toward the nearest service panel. Her chair's motors whined with the effort, but they got her there. She pulled a small toolkit from the compartment under her seat. Her father had insisted she always carry it. "You never know when you might need to fix something," he always said. The panel's locking mechanism was simple, designed for quick access during emergencies. Lily's fingers worked the manual override, and the panel popped open. Inside was a maze of wiring and circuitry. Most people would have seen chaos, but Lily saw patterns. She had spent years studying ship systems, because when you can't run, you learn to understand the things around you instead. She found what she was looking for: a direct connection to the pit's control systems. They never expected anyone to try to hack their arena from the inside. Lily pulled a data cable from her wheelchair's computer interface and jacked into the system. Her fingers flew across her chair's small keyboard. The security was tough, but it was also old. This ship had been in service for decades, and old systems always had weaknesses. Behind her, the dragon was putting on an incredible show. It lunged at the warriors but always pulled back at the last second, making them think they were barely escaping with their lives. It was buying her time, she realized. This magnificent creature was working with her. Her screen flashed green. She was in. The pit's control system was more complex than she expected, but the basic architecture was similar to human designs. She found the door controls, the platform system, and something else that made her heart skip: the environmental controls. She could manipulate the entire arena. "Just a little longer," she whispered, her fingers never stopping. Above, she could hear Vexthor shouting orders. More warriors were coming. They were going to flood the pit with soldiers until the dragon was overwhelmed. She had maybe 2 minutes before it was too late. She found the main door mechanism and started the override sequence, but it required a command code she didn't have. Lily bit her lip, thinking. Every Centauri system she had seen used hierarchical codes. Military structure translated into digital security. High Commander would have master access, but his second-in-command would have emergency overrides. She pulled up the access logs and found what she needed. Someone designated as second commander had opened the pit doors 3 hours ago for feeding time. The partial code was still in the cache memory. Lily's fingers flew faster. She used a decryption algorithm she had written for a school project, modifying it on the fly. The percentage climbed: 40%, 60%, 70%. An energy blast struck the wall next to her, melting metal. The warriors had noticed what she was doing. "The human is at the control panel," one of them shouted. "Stop her." The dragon moved with shocking speed for something so large. It positioned itself directly between Lily and the warriors, taking hit after hit on its armored hide. Some blasts got through, burning flesh, but the creature didn't move. It was protecting her with its own body. "I've got it!" Lily screamed. The doors to the pit began to grind open, the massive metal barriers that had sealed them in slowly pulling apart. But more warriors were rappelling down from above now, at least 20 of them, with heavier weapons. They were going to kill the dragon, and there was nothing she could do about it. Unless... Lily looked at her screen again and found the collar control system. The device around the dragon's neck was connected to the ship's main computer. She could see the shock protocols, the pain settings they had used to break this creature's spirit. Her stomach turned at the cruelty of it. She started a new hack, but this one was different. She wasn't trying to unlock the collar. She was trying to overload it. "This is going to hurt for a second," she called to the dragon. "But then you'll be free. Trust me." The dragon looked back at her, and despite everything, it lowered its head in acknowledgement. Lily triggered the overload sequence. The collar sparked and smoked. The dragon roared in pain, its whole body convulsing. For a horrible second, Lily thought she had killed it. Then, with a sound like a gunshot, the collar exploded into pieces and fell away. The dragon stood perfectly still. It raised its head slowly, testing the absence of the weight it had carried for so long. Then it spread its wings fully for the first time, and they were glorious. Even in the confined space of the pit, they caught the air with a sound like thunder. The Zenthari warriors stopped advancing. For the first time, they looked genuinely afraid. "Come on!" Lily shouted. She wheeled toward the open doors as fast as her chair could go. The dragon followed, and together they burst out of the pit and into the corridor beyond. The ship erupted into chaos. Alarms blared. Zenthari ran in every direction, some fleeing, others trying to mount a defense. The dragon's presence terrified them in a way Lily hadn't expected. These warriors who valued strength above all else were running from the very creature they had imprisoned. "We need to get to the others," Lily said, though she had no idea if the dragon understood. "My father and the colonists, can you help me find them?" The dragon's nostrils flared. It lowered its head and sniffed the air, then started moving down a specific corridor with purpose. Lily followed, hoping beyond hope that the creature knew what it was doing. They found the holding area 3 levels up. The dragon simply smashed through the locked door like it was made of paper. Inside, 43 colonists looked up in absolute shock. Lily, her father, rushed forward, then stopped when he saw the dragon right behind her. His hand went to his side, looking for a weapon he didn't have. "Dad, it's okay," Lily called. "The dragon is with me. It's helping us." Jack Carter looked at his daughter, then at the massive creature looming behind her, then back at his daughter. To his credit, he only hesitated for a moment. "Everyone, move. We need to get to the hangar." Betty Walsh took charge, organizing the colonists into groups. "Follow the girl and the dragon," she ordered. "Stay together and move fast." They ran through the Zenthari ship like a flood. The dragon led the way, and any warrior foolish enough to try to stop them was either knocked aside or fled in terror. Lily's wheelchair kept pace, its motors pushed to maximum. They reached the hangar to find it crawling with Zenthari, trying to mount a defense. But they hadn't counted on a freed dragon. The creature roared and unleashed something Lily had only theorized about. Electromagnetic pulses rippled out from its body, and every weapon in the hangar sparked and died. The Zenthari stood frozen, holding useless chunks of metal. The colonists ran for their shuttle. Jack Carter grabbed Lily's chair and pushed her up the ramp faster than her motors could manage. Others piled in around them. "The dragon won't fit," someone shouted. Lily looked back and saw the creature standing at the hangar entrance, too large for the shuttle's door. Their eyes met, and she felt her heart breaking. After everything, were they just going to leave it behind? But the dragon made a different sound. Not distress, but determination. It moved to the side of the shuttle and gripped the hull with its powerful claws. Then it spread its wings. "It's going to ride outside," Pete Hayes shouted from the pilot's chair. "Everyone strap in. This is going to be rough." The shuttle lifted off, and the dragon held on. Through the viewport, Lily could see Zenthari fighters launching in pursuit. But every time they got close, the dragon released another electromagnetic pulse. Fighters spun out of control or shut down completely. They punched through the hangar's atmospheric shield and into open space. The stars had never looked so beautiful. The shuttle limped through space with one engine failing and the other barely holding together. Lily watched through the viewport as 3 Zenthari warships gave chase, their sleek hulls cutting through the darkness like sharks. The dragon still clung to the outside of the shuttle, its wings folded tight against the hull to reduce drag. We can't outrun them, Pete Hayes said from the pilot's seat, his knuckles white on the controls. The engine took too much damage during the escape. We've got maybe 10 minutes before they're in firing range. Jack Carter stood behind him, one hand on Lily's shoulder. Options? There's a nebula ahead. Betty Walsh pointed at the navigation screen. The Crimson Veil. It's dense with particles and radiation. It'll play hell with their sensors. It'll play hell with ours too, Pete said. Better than being blown to pieces, Betty replied. Lily wasn't listening to them anymore. Her eyes were on the dragon pressed against the viewport. Even through the reinforced glass, she could see it was struggling. Space was cold and airless, and while the creature seemed able to survive for short periods, it couldn't last forever. We need to get the dragon inside, Lily said. There's no room, her father said gently. Even the cargo bay is too small. Then we make room. Lily wheeled herself toward the back of the shuttle. Everyone, move to the front section. Pete, can you depressurize the cargo bay and open the rear hatch? Lily, that's dangerous, her father protested. Dad, that creature saved my life. It saved all of us. I'm not leaving it out there to freeze. Her voice was quiet, but firm. It was the voice she used when she had made up her mind about something, and Jack Carter knew better than to argue when his daughter used that tone. Everyone forward, he commanded. Move! The colonists crowded into the front section of the shuttle. Pete worked the controls, and warning lights flashed as the cargo bay began to depressurize. Lily positioned herself at the sealed door between sections, watching through the small window. The rear hatch opened slowly. The dragon saw its chance and pulled itself inside, barely fitting in the cramped space. Its tail curled around the cargo containers, and its wings pressed against the walls. The moment it was clear, Pete sealed the hatch and started repressurization. When the atmosphere stabilized, Lily opened the connecting door. The dragon looked exhausted, its scales covered in frost, its breathing labored. But its eyes found hers, and that same understanding passed between them. Thank you, she whispered. The shuttle shook as they entered the Crimson Veil. Red clouds of cosmic dust surrounded them, blocking out the stars. Warning alarms beeped as radiation levels climbed, but they were still within safe limits. Lost them on sensors, Pete reported. But we lost ourselves, too. I can't navigate in this suit. Lily wheeled herself closer to the cargo bay door. The dragon had recovered somewhat, its breathing steadier now. She placed her hand against the glass, and the creature moved its massive head to the other side, matching her gesture. Something strange happened. Lily felt a tingling sensation in her palm, spreading up her arm. Images flooded her mind. Not pictures exactly, but impressions, feelings, memories. She saw the dragon soaring through an alien sky, part of a group, a family. She felt the joy of flight, the connection with others of its kind. Then she saw fire and destruction. Ships, with Zenthari markings, raining death from above. She felt the dragon's terror and rage as its world burned. She saw decades of captivity, the collar being fastened around its neck, the pain of electric shocks, the forced fights in the arena, the loneliness of being the last of its kind, or so it had believed. But there was more, a flash of hope, a sense of others, distant but alive. 3 more dragons, imprisoned on different worlds. The dragon's family, scattered, but not gone. Lily gasped and pulled her hand back. The connection broke, leaving her breathless and shaking. Lily, you okay? Her father was beside her in an instant. I saw, she said, her voice trembling. Dad, I saw its memories. There are others, 3 more dragons, alive but captured. We have to help them. Sweetheart, we need to worry about ourselves first, Jack said gently. We're barely escaping with our own lives. But Lily was already thinking, planning. She wheeled herself to the computer terminal in the cargo bay and pulled up what data they had stolen from the Zenthari ship during their escape. The dragon watched her work. its eyes intense and focused. "Look," she said, pulling up star charts. "The dragon showed me locations. I think they're prison worlds. Places where the Xanthari keep dangerous creatures." Betty Walsh came to look over her shoulder. "That's Sector 7, Sector 12, and Sector 23. All heavily fortified, military installations." "We can't attack military bases," Pete said from the pilot's chair. "We're civilians in a damaged shuttle." Lily turned to look at the dragon. "But we're not alone, are we?" The dragon made that musical sound again, the one that resonated in her chest. It moved closer to the computer, and to everyone's amazement, it seemed to study the screen. Then it touched one claw to the display, tapping a specific location. "It understands," Jack breathed. "It actually understands what we're showing it." The Xanthari treated it like an animal, because that's what they wanted to see. But this species built things. They traveled space before humans even existed. The Xanthari destroyed their civilization, but they couldn't destroy their intelligence. She pulled up more files, looking for any information about the dragon species. "Here," she said, finding a partially corrupted database entry. "The DrSci-Fi. That's what they're called. It says they were destroyed 5,000 years ago in the Xanthari's first major expansion. They were peaceful explorers and scientists." "Doesn't sound very peaceful to me," Pete muttered, eyeing the dragon's claws and teeth. "They weren't warriors," Lily said, reading more, "but they could defend themselves when needed. Their electromagnetic abilities evolved as a natural defense mechanism. They used it for communication too, and for interfacing with technology." "That's how you broke the collar, and how you're showing me memories. You're using electromagnetic fields to create a kind of shared consciousness." The dragon lowered its head in what Lily now recognized as agreement. A proximity alarm blared. "Xanthari ships," Pete reported. "They're sweep-searching the nebula. We've got maybe 5 minutes before they find us." Jack made a decision. "Betty, Pete, get us out of here. Head for the nearest safe harbor." "Dad, what about the other dragons?" Lily asked. "First we survive," her father said. "Then we make a plan." But as the shuttle began to move, the dragon shifted in the cargo bay. It looked at Lily, and another wave of emotion hit her. Grief, determination, a plea for help that transcended words. "Their family," Lily said softly. "We can't leave them." Jack Carter looked at his daughter, seeing the same stubborn determination that had gotten her through 3 years of learning to live with her disability. The same strength that had made her reach out to a terrifying dragon instead of cowering in fear. "We're 43 civilians against the Xanthari Empire," he said. "We're 43 humans who don't give up," Lily replied. "And we have a dragon." Around them, the other colonists had been listening. Betty Walsh stepped forward. "The kid's right. We didn't leave Earth to run away from problems. We left to build something better." "I'm in," Pete said from the pilot's seat. "If we're going to die, might as well die doing something that matters." One by one, the other colonists voiced their agreement. They were scientists and farmers, teachers and engineers. They had no military training. They had humanity's greatest strength, the thing that had always set them apart. They cared about others, even when it wasn't logical or safe. Jack Carter looked at the dragon, then at his daughter, then at his people. "All right," he said, "then we're going to need a plan. A good one." Lily smiled and turned back to her computer. Her fingers flew across the keyboard as she began to pull together everything they knew about Xanthari military installations, electromagnetic pulses, and dragon abilities. They were going to do the impossible. They were going to free the last DrSci-Fi and show the galaxy that sometimes the weak weren't weak at all. The planning took 3 days. 3 days hiding in abandoned mining stations and debris fields, while Lily and the colonists worked out the details. The dragon stayed close to her during that time, and their connection grew stronger. She started calling it Ember, because of the way its eyes glowed in the dark. It's impossible, Pete Hayes said for the 10th time, looking at the tactical display. 3 military prisons, all in different sectors. Even if we could free one dragon, we'd never make it to the others before the entire Zenthari fleet came down on us. That's why we do them all at once, Lily said. She had barely slept, her mind racing with calculations and possibilities. We split up, 3 teams, 3 targets, perfectly synchronized. We have 1 shuttle, Betty Walsh pointed out. We steal 2 more, Lily replied. The Zenthari have supply depots in neutral zones. Civilian contractors use them. We take shuttles from there. Jack Carter studied his daughter's plan on the screen. It was crazy and brilliant at the same time. The Zenthari will expect a frontal assault. But if we come in disguised as supply ships, we might get close enough to the prisons before they realize what's happening. And then? Pete asked. Then Ember does what Ember does best. Lily looked at the dragon curled in the cargo bay. Electromagnetic pulses to disable their defenses. We get in, free the dragon, and get out before reinforcements arrive. All 3 teams would need perfect timing, Betty said. If one team is late, the others will be caught in the response. We can do it, Lily said with absolute certainty. We have to. The theft of the shuttles went smoother than expected. Zenthari security was designed to stop military threats, not sneaky humans who knew how to falsify cargo manifests. Within 2 days, they had 3 shuttles and enough supplies to make the attempt. They divided into 3 teams. Jack Carter would lead the strike on Sector 7. Betty Walsh took Sector 12. And Pete Hayes volunteered for Sector 23. Lily wanted to go with each team, but her father insisted she stay behind at their hidden base. The argument lasted hours. I need you safe, Jack said. I need to help, Lily countered. Ember trusts me. The other dragons might not respond to anyone else. In the end, they compromised. Lily would go with her father's team, but she would stay on the shuttle during the actual infiltration. Ember would go with Pete's team, since Sector 23 had the heaviest defenses and needed the dragon's power most. The separation from Ember was harder than Lily expected. Before the dragon left, it pressed its head against her hand one more time, and she felt a rush of reassurance. We will meet again. Be safe, she whispered. The 3 teams launched on the appointed day. The journey to their targets took 8 hours of tense silence. Lily watched the stars pass by and thought about everything that had led to this moment. A girl who couldn't walk and a dragon in chains, both underestimated and overlooked. Now they were leading a rescue mission that could change the galaxy. Approaching Sector 7, her father's voice came over the comm. All teams report status. Sector 12, we're in position, Betty Walsh reported. Sector 23, ready to go, Pete said. In the background, Lily heard Ember's rumbling call. Execute in 3, 2, 1, mark. All 3 shuttles dropped their civilian disguises simultaneously and accelerated toward their targets. Alarm systems across 3 sectors began screaming, but by then, it was too late. The shuttles were already through the outer perimeters. At Sector 7, Jack Carter and his team found the prison built into an asteroid. The Zenthari guards were caught completely off guard by a human attack. Most of them had never even seen a human before. Where's the holding cell? Jack demanded, his stolen Zenthari weapon trained on a terrified guard. The guard pointed to a massive vault door. But you cannot open it. It requires command codes and... He didn't get to finish. Lily had been studying Zenthari security systems for days. Her fingers flew across her portable computer, and the door's locks disengaged with a hiss. Inside was a dragon, even larger than Ember, with scales the color of deep ocean water. It looked up at the humans with suspicion, and barely contained rage. We're friends, Jack said, though his voice shook. We came to free you. The dragon roared, and half the team dove for cover. He thought of his daughter and her impossible courage. If Lily could face Ember in that pit, he could face this. "Your family is waiting," he said. "Ember sent us." At the name, the dragon stopped. Its eyes narrowed, searching Jack's face for deception. Then it lowered its head, just slightly. Acceptance. At Sector 12, Betty Walsh and her team faced a different challenge. The dragon there was wounded, barely conscious from sedatives the Zenthari had pumped into it. This one had silver scales that gleamed even in the dim light. "Can you wake it up?" Betty asked their medic, a colonist named Danny Moore. "I can try to reverse the sedatives, but I don't know dragon physiology." "Do what you can." They worked frantically as alarms blared around them. Betty and the others held off Zenthari guards with stolen weapons and improvised barricades. It was messy and desperate. Nothing like the clean operations Betty had trained for in her security days. The dragon's eyes fluttered open. It tried to rise, but collapsed, too weak to stand. "Come on," Betty urged. "We need you to move." The dragon looked at her with eyes that held centuries of pain. Why should it trust these strange creatures? Why should it try? Betty made a split-second decision. She reached out and placed her hand on the dragon's snout, just like she had seen Lily do with Ember. "Because we're not like them," she said. "Because we believe you deserve freedom. Because a little girl in a wheelchair taught us that strength comes in many forms." The dragon's eyes brightened. With tremendous effort, it stood. At Sector 23, Pete Hayes was discovering that their intelligence had been wrong. Very wrong. The prison wasn't lightly defended. It was a full military installation, with 20 ships in orbit and hundreds of guards. "We can't do this," one of the colonists said, his voice cracking. "We need to abort." "No," Pete said. He looked at Ember, who had been silent during the journey. "We came for your family. We're not leaving without them." Ember moved to the shuttle's airlock. Its intention was clear. "If you go out there, they'll shoot you down," Pete said. The dragon looked back at him, and Pete understood. It was willing to die if it meant giving its family a chance at freedom. That's what family meant. That's what love meant. "Okay," Pete said, "but you're not doing it alone." He opened the comm to all colonists on his shuttle. "Anyone who wants to leave, I understand. But I'm going in with the dragon. Who's with me?" Every single hand went up. They opened the airlock, and Ember shot out like a missile. The dragon dove toward the prison installation, dodging weapons fire with grace that seemed impossible for something so large. Behind it, the shuttle followed, with Pete at the controls pushing the engines past their safety limits. Ember unleashed electromagnetic pulses in waves. Ships fell from orbit, their systems fried. Defense platforms went dark. The dragon was fury and purpose made flesh, and the Zenthari fled before it. The shuttle crashed through the prison's hangar doors. Pete and his team poured out, fighting their way to the holding cells. They found the last dragon, this one with golden scales, chained with so much metal it could barely move. Ember broke through the ceiling, raining debris everywhere. When the two dragons saw each other, they made sounds that transcended species. It was the sound of family reunited after thinking all hope was lost. Back at Sector 7, Lily watched the synchronized timing on her computer. All three teams had succeeded. Against impossible odds, they had done it. "All teams, extraction now," her father commanded. The three shuttles broke away from their targets, each carrying a freed dragon. But the Zenthari response was massive. Dozens of warships converged on each location. "We're not going to make it to the rendezvous point," Betty's voice crackled over the comm. "Too many of them." Lily watched the tactical display with her heart in her throat. They had come so far. They couldn't fail now. Then she saw it. The four dragons, now free, were communicating with each other across the vast distances of space. She could feel the electromagnetic resonance, even through the shuttle's hull. They were coordinating. All four dragons released their pulses simultaneously. The effect was staggering. It wasn't just local interference anymore. It was a wave that rippled across entire sectors, shutting down every Xanthari ship in range. The warships went dark and drifted in space, helpless. "By all that's holy," Jack breathed. "Together they're unstoppable." The three shuttles met at the rendezvous point, and Lily watched through the viewport as Ember reunited with the others. The four dragons circled each other in space, their wings catching starlight, their joy palpable even from a distance. Then they came to the shuttles, and one by one they pressed their heads against the viewports. The ocean-colored one, the silver one, the golden one, and Ember. Each dragon looked at the humans who had risked everything for them. "What now?" Pete asked. Lily smiled. "Now we find them a home, and we show the galaxy that the Xanthari way isn't the only way." A Xanthari battleship appeared on sensors, but this one wasn't attacking. Lily patched it through. High Commander Vexthor's face appeared on the screen, and he looked nothing like the arrogant warrior from before. He looked shaken. "You have made your point, humans," he said. "The Council wishes to negotiate." Jack Carter stepped in front of the screen. "You threw my daughter to a dragon expecting her to die. You enslaved intelligent beings for entertainment. Why should we negotiate with you?" "Because we were wrong," Vexthor said, and the words seemed to pain him. "You have shown us something we had forgotten, that strength alone is not enough, that perhaps we have become the monsters we claim to fight against." Lily wheeled herself into view. "The dragons stay free, all of them, and you release any other intelligent beings you've imprisoned." "That is not a small request." "It's not a request," Lily said. "It's the price of peace. The dragons could shut down your entire fleet right now. We want change." Vexthor looked at her for a long moment. "A child in a broken chair brought the Xanthari Empire to its knees. Perhaps we have been measuring strength wrong all along." He nodded slowly. "We will agree to your terms." The transmission ended. Around Lily, the colonists erupted in cheers. Her father hugged her so tight she could barely breathe. Through the viewport, she watched Ember and the other dragons soaring through space. They were free. They were family. And they had changed the galaxy forever. Betty Walsh came to stand beside her chair. "What you did, Lily. What you showed us all. I don't think I've ever seen anything braver." Lily looked at the security chief and smiled. "I just did what anyone should do. I saw someone suffering and tried to help." The brave part was Ember, trusting a stranger when everyone had heard it before. The brave part was both of you choosing to see past what you were supposed to be. A disabled human, a mindless beast. You both proved that labels don't define us. Our choices do. As the shuttles set course for a new colony world, Lily kept her hand pressed against the viewport. Ember flew alongside, and she could feel the connection between them, stronger than ever. She had started this journey as a girl who couldn't walk, overlooked and underestimated. She was ending it as the person who freed the last dragons and changed an empire's mind about strength. Her wheelchair didn't matter. What mattered was that she had the courage to reach out when everyone else pulled back, and that made all the difference in the universe.